Life is never fair, but guess what? It doesn't owe you anything either. When everything falls apart, instead of searching for an escape, turn inward to discover the strength you never knew you had. Most people crumble when faced with adversity. They seek sympathy, complain about how unfair life is, and hope someone else will fix things for them. But here's the harsh truth. No one is coming to save you. No one but yourself. Those punches life throws at you aren't punishments. They're lessons, brutal ones, meant to teach you how to rise, overcome, and grow stronger. I know this because I've stood at that crossroads myself, faced with the decision to either sit in my misery or rise and fight back. I chose the harder path. It wasn't easy, but it transformed my life, and you can do it too. In this video, we'll dive deep into the raw and sometimes controversial lessons that adversity teaches us. Lessons that don't just help you weather the storms, but make you tougher, more resilient, and unstoppable. If you're ready to confront some harsh truths and emerge stronger than ever, let's begin this journey together. Lesson 1. Tough times don't last, but you do. When you're caught in the midst of life's storm, it feels like it will never end. Like everything is collapsing and you're left struggling just to stay afloat amidst the chaos. Whether it's financial troubles, emotional pain, or a series of personal failures piling up, those moments can suffocate you, making it seem as though they'll last forever, trapping you in a darkness without escape. But here's the truth you need to understand. Tough times are temporary, and what defines you is not the storm itself, but how you face it. I once went through a period where everything felt like it was working against me. Work wasn't going well, my plans were falling apart, and every day seemed to bring nothing but more disappointment. I remember one night driving home after an exhausting day. The heavy rain outside perfectly mirrored my feelings, bleak and overwhelming. I pulled over to the side of the road, my mind swirling with questions. Why me? Why does everything have to be so hard? But in that vulnerable moment, I realized a simple yet powerful truth. No storm lasts forever. Life keeps moving, and even the deepest pain is temporary. That was the moment I began to change how I viewed challenges. I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what can I do to overcome this? What I realized is that much of our suffering doesn't come from the storm itself, but from how we cling to it, how we focus too much on what's lost instead of what can be learned. Difficult times aren't enemies, they're opportunities to build resilience, to refine yourself into a better version of who you are. Remember this. You've survived 100% of the worst days of your life so far. There were moments when you thought you wouldn't make it, but here you are, still standing. And here's the truth. Every storm brings a lesson. Every pain, every failure is like a test from life, asking how much you're willing to fight for your happiness. Embrace the storm with patience and a strong will, because when it passes, the strength you gain will stay with you forever. Hard times don't exist to defeat you, they exist to shape you, and the human spirit, including yours, is designed to endure and grow. Don't let temporary dark clouds overshadow the light within you. Remember, you've faced worse before, and you'll overcome this too. Every time you rise after a storm, you don't just survive, you become stronger, more resilient, and closer to the person you're meant to be. Lesson 2. You are not entitled to an easy life. Life isn't a fairy tale, and if you're waiting for a happy ending without lifting a finger, you'll be sorely disappointed. The truth is, life doesn't promise you an easy path. But believe me, that's not a curse. It's a gift. When you finally understand that the world doesn't owe you anything, you'll stop waiting for miracles to happen and start creating them yourself. Here's the uncomfortable truth that most people don't want to hear. In today's age of instant gratification, many believe they deserve comfort without effort, success without sacrifice, and happiness without pain. But let me tell you something. This mindset is exactly what makes them weak. I remember a time in my life when everything seemed to fall apart. Work was failing, my finances were in ruins, and I felt utterly stuck. Every single day I worked tirelessly, hoping for a breakthrough, but all I encountered were setbacks. There were nights I lay awake asking myself, why is everything so hard? Why me when others seem to achieve so much without even trying? That sense of helplessness consumed me, and I was dangerously close to giving up. Then something shifted. I had a moment of clarity. No one was coming to rescue me, and no one was responsible for fixing my life except me. That's when I stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, how can I make this work for me? I redirected my energy toward what I could control. I stopped blaming the world and started taking action. Every day I set small, achievable goals and worked toward them, refusing to let self-pity hold me back. It didn't change everything overnight, but I changed. I became stronger, more resilient, and learned to value my own journey. Looking back now, I realize those hard times weren't burdens. They were stepping stones that helped me grow. Remember, challenges aren't your enemy. They're your greatest teacher. Successful people aren't the ones who avoid hardship. They're the ones who learn to overcome it. They understand that life doesn't hand out rewards based on desire, but on persistence and effort. If you keep waiting for life to align with your expectations without taking action, you'll stay stuck in a cycle of disappointment. Here's the message loud and clear. Stop expecting life to be easy, because it never will be. Instead, rise to the challenge, accept the falls, and turn them into stepping stones. Success isn't something you're given, it's something you earn. Those who accept this truth will find an inner strength they didn't know existed, while those who resist it will remain trapped in bitterness and frustration. So the choice is yours. Which path will you take? Lesson 3. Your mind is your greatest ally. Your mind can be your greatest asset, but it can also be your worst enemy if you don't know how to control it. Too often, we treat our minds like strangers, letting them spiral into fear, doubt, and negativity, especially when facing challenges. The truth is, your mind is the most powerful tool you have. If you train it, it won't just be your ally. It will be an endless source of strength to help you overcome anything. Let me tell you about an old friend of mine, Sarah. Sarah was incredibly talented, but she became a prisoner of her own thoughts. When her career began to face serious challenges, instead of seeking solutions, her mind became a wall filled with whispers of doubt and negativity. Sarah constantly worried about the worst-case scenarios. Every time her work didn't meet expectations, she didn't just feel disappointed. She began to ask herself, what if I fail completely? What if all my efforts are worthless? Over time, Sarah became emotionally drained. She started avoiding major projects and turning down new opportunities out of fear of failure. Her mind didn't just protect her from risks, it unwittingly trapped her in a cycle of self-doubt. One day, during a conversation, she confessed to me that she felt like she was stuck at the bottom of a deep well with no idea how to climb out. That's when I shared with Sarah the power of the mind. I told her, do you realize things aren't as bad as you think? Everything happening now isn't the problem, it's how you're interpreting it. You're not defeated by your circumstances. You're defeated by your own thoughts. That statement made her pause. We began discussing ways she could take control of her mind through small steps. I suggested she write down what she could control in the moment instead of worrying about what was beyond her control. Sarah started practicing this exercise daily. At first, it wasn't easy. Gradually, she began to view challenges differently. She realized that instead of obsessing over failure, she could focus on actions she could take to create change. As she gained control over her thoughts, her fears and doubts started to fade. Not only did she regain her confidence, but she also grew stronger than ever. Your mind is like a muscle. It needs training to become an ally instead of an adversary. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The important thing is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." Sarah's story is proof of this. When you learn to control your thoughts, you'll discover that no challenge is insurmountable. The power lies in your hands, and the choice is entirely yours. So, the next time you feel your mind spiraling into negativity, remember Sarah's story. Ask yourself, what can I do right now to improve the situation? That's how you reclaim control, refusing to let the storm within drag you down. Instead of being a victim of your thoughts, turn your mind into your strongest tool, guiding you to conquer life's challenges with resilience and determination. Lesson 4. Life owes you nothing. Life doesn't owe you anything. As harsh as it may sound, this truth is what will set you free. We often grow up believing that if we work hard, if we're kind, if we endure hardships, we'll be rewarded. But life doesn't operate on a fair system of rewards and punishments. Life doesn't hand you success or happiness just because you think you deserve it. That's one of the most bitter truths. But once you accept it, you'll feel more liberated than ever. Let me share a story from my own life. There was a time when I believed I had reached the limit of what I could endure. Everything seemed to fall apart. Work was failing, relationships were strained, and I felt trapped in a never-ending cycle of despair. I convinced myself, surely the universe will show me mercy. After everything I've been through, I deserve some peace. But instead of the peace I desperately sought, life threw even more challenges my way. One after another, new failures emerged, and I became angry. I screamed internally, "Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve all this?" That's when I realized I had fallen into a dangerous psychological trap. I thought life owed me something simply because I had tried. But the truth is, life isn't a vending machine where you insert effort and expect rewards. Life isn't a contract where you're guaranteed a payout proportional to your struggles. It's just life. Challenges don't come to punish you, and rewards don't simply appear to reward your efforts. The world doesn't operate according to the fairness you expect. Once I realized that, everything changed. I understood that my sense of entitlement was weakening me. It made me a victim, sitting there expecting recognition from life instead of standing up and doing something about it. And the moment I stopped expecting, I started acting. I no longer blamed my circumstances or waited for a miracle from the universe. I began focusing on what was within my power and channeled my energy into overcoming each challenge with resilience. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius once said that, "You can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond. And it's in that response that your true strength is defined." When you let go of the belief that life owes you something, you stop feeling defeated when things don't go your way. You stop seeing challenges as unjust attacks and start seeing them as opportunities to train yourself and grow stronger. Life isn't easy, but it isn't against you either. It's neutral. You can't change that, but you can change how you face it. Letting go of entitlement isn't a sign of surrender. It's an act of accepting reality so you can take charge of your life. When you do that, you're no longer a victim of circumstances. You become the author of your own path. Life doesn't owe you anything, and because of that, you have the freedom to write your own story. Use that power to create everything you want for yourself. Lesson 5. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Pain is an undeniable truth of life. It's something we all face, whether we like it or not. It comes in many forms, physical, emotional, or mental, and it's how life operates. But here's the part that many people struggle with. Pain does not equal suffering. While pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. And it's this choice that determines how we move through the challenges of life. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I experienced a devastating loss of a loved one. The pain was so overwhelming, it felt like I couldn't breathe. But what truly brought me down wasn't the event itself. It was how I dealt with it. I kept replaying the memories, questioning what I did wrong, and wondering if there was something I could have done differently. My mind was consumed with regret and self-blame. I allowed the pain to stretch into prolonged suffering simply because I couldn't let go of the unanswered questions. This went on for months, and I felt trapped in an endless loop of emotional torment. Eventually, I realized that I had given my pain the power to control my life. I had chosen to suffer instead of accepting the pain and moving forward. The Stoics taught us a profound lesson about pain and suffering. Marcus Aurelius, a philosopher and Roman emperor, faced unimaginable difficulties, wars, plagues, betrayals. Yet he didn't let those events crush him. Instead of being consumed by suffering, he chose to keep moving forward, drawing strength from his mind and accepting reality. He famously wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The most important thing to understand is that suffering often comes from the stories we create in our minds. Pain can be real, but suffering is optional. We cling to pain, asking why it happened to us, rather than accepting that life is sometimes just unfair. That's why many people hold on to their suffering, seeing it as part of their identity or as a way to justify their struggles or failures. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, wrote in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that even in the worst conditions, we still have the freedom to choose how we respond. Here was a man who endured unimaginable pain, but he refused to let himself fall into suffering. Instead, he sought meaning and strength, even in the harshest circumstances. What you need to take from this is simple. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is up to you. When you accept that you can't control what life throws at you, but can control how you respond, you'll find that you are no longer a victim. You're no longer stuck in self-pity or regret. Instead, you use those challenges to build inner strength, to grow, and to move forward. The key is learning to face pain without letting it define you. Don't drown in suffering. Accept pain as a natural part of the human experience. Look for the lessons within it, and keep moving forward. This resilience is what makes you truly unbreakable. Lesson 6. The world won't wait for you to heal. Here's a hard truth to swallow. The world doesn't stop for your healing process. The brutal reality is that no matter what you're going through, life keeps moving forward. Your struggles, your pain, your heartbreak, they don't pause the world. It's harsh, it's unfair, but it's the truth. While you're trying to piece your life back together, the world keeps spinning, time keeps ticking, and people keep pushing forward. And let's be clear, they won't slow down to accommodate your wounds. It sounds cruel, even heartless, but this is the controversial reality we all have to face. We've been conditioned to believe that when we're hurting, when we're going through tough times, the world should stop, or at least give us some breathing room. But life doesn't operate that way. It's indifferent to your pain. The sun still rises, bills still pile up, deadlines loom, and people continue living their lives. It's not that the world doesn't care, it simply doesn't wait. I remember going through a devastating breakup that left me completely shattered. I wanted to retreat from everything, wallow in my pain, and take a break from life. But responsibilities didn't pause. I still had deadlines to meet, bills to pay, and people depending on me. For a while I tried hiding from it all, hoping life would somehow stop and give me the time I needed to heal. But guess what? It didn't. I fell behind, and the more I delayed, the more things piled up. No one came to me and said, "Don't worry, take all the time you need." I was forced to face the reality. The world wasn't going to slow down for me. I had to get back on track, broken heart and all. That's when I learned a crucial lesson. Healing is important, yes, but it can't be an excuse to stop moving forward. You have to find a way to keep going, even when you don't feel okay. Waiting until you're fully healed, or until you feel better before rejoining life, will leave you stuck, and you might never get back into the game. This is the mistake so many people make. They believe they need to feel 100% ready before they can re-engage with life. They think that if they wait long enough, if they just retreat for a while, the world will still be there waiting when they're ready. But life doesn't wait. Opportunities will pass, people will move on, and you'll find yourself left behind, wondering why everything feels out of reach. Here's the deeper message. You must learn to heal while moving forward. You don't get the luxury of pressing pause on life until you're whole again, and that's okay. Healing doesn't have to be a solitary, all-consuming process. You can rebuild yourself while still taking steps forward, even if they're small ones. The idea that you need to stop everything until you're fully recovered is a trap that keeps you stuck in your pain longer than necessary. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't believe in wallowing in suffering or waiting for the perfect moment to feel better. They believed in action, in moving forward despite the pain. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, your pain and struggles are the path forward. You don't heal by standing still. You heal by pushing through, by continuing to live even when it hurts. Think about the most resilient people you know. Ones who've faced unimaginable challenges yet kept moving forward. They don't stop for long. They've mastered the art of healing while progressing. They understand that life won't give them extra time to mend their wounds. They figure out how to face their pain and still show up for life, and that's what makes them strong. It's a controversial thought, but it's true. Waiting for the world to slow down so you can heal is a waste of time. The world won't wait, and it's not supposed to. The responsibility to keep moving falls on you. You might not feel ready, and that's okay. You don't need to be fully healed to take the next step. Healing happens in motion, not in stasis. And here's the harsh truth. No one is going to hand you a break. The universe isn't going to part the clouds and say, "All right, we'll give you a pass this time." Life isn't built that way. It keeps moving, and you have to figure out how to keep moving with it. That's where real strength comes from. Not in avoiding pain, but in learning how to carry it with you while you continue on your journey. If you wait until you're completely healed, until everything feels perfect again, you'll be waiting forever. The world will pass you by, and you'll be stuck in the same place, wondering why life didn't pause for your pain. The most powerful thing you can do is recognize that healing and moving forward aren't mutually exclusive. The next time life pushes you to the edge, remember, it's not about avoiding the storm, it's about learning to stand tall in the middle of it. Pain will come, but suffering is a choice, and resilience is the reward. Don't wait for life to get easier. Get tougher, wiser, and more unshakable. You already have everything you need within you, not just to survive, but to thrive. Remember, tough times don't last, but you do. Keep moving forward and don't let anything break you. Take on the world, because life owes you nothing, but you owe it to yourself to keep rising. I would love to hear about your journey and triumphs. Please hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and leave a comment below to share your story, your successes, and even the challenges you've overcome. If you're not sure what to comment, just write "I remember this" to show that you've completed this session. Your engagement helps this community grow toward wisdom and the art of turning every challenge into an opportunity. I'll leave 2 more videos here so you can continue learning and growing on your personal development journey. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.